I'm really starting to see how Mahogany Pink argues. These are the people that really get underneath my skin because they feed you a bullshit sandwich, but then like they'll smack it between two uh, uh, pieces of bread that look to be truthful, right? And then a lot of times they don't detail what they're saying. They want you to see both sides of the sandwich that appear to be truthful, but they don't really want you to process the bullshit in between. And then they shuffle it right past you. And I'm like, no, 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 because she's talking real fast in this. I'm gonna try to interject where I want to interject. But before we start off, I want to say that there was one word that I was looking for, and I didn't hear it until the very end of the video, and that is the word consequences. She defines accountability, she defines blame, but then she doesn't talk about consequences, right? And the impression I get from her argument and many of the other divestors' argument, they don't believe in consequences, right? Everybody's focused on accountability and blame, which I'll give her. Everybody's focused on that. You need to not do this and not do that. But nobody wants to focus on the fact that if you go out here and you make a piss poor decision, especially surrounding major things like who you have a baby by, there's consequences to that. And nobody owes you a resolution for the consequences of your actions, which is why people are trying to get people to be accountable or responsible before they make these life altering decisions. A lot of black women have this idea that they can go out there, do anything, you know, and if it produces a bad outcome, that they will be rescued. This is one of the things that I have an issue with Christianity about, and all the church-minded people, that no matter what, Jesus and God can overcome mountains and all this other stuff, and does no matter how much debt they put themselves into, no matter how dire of a situation. I understand people got to have hope, but when you operate in hope to the point that you don't avoid negative outcomes, to me that's no longer hope. You know what I'm saying? And people shouldn't even just be riding on hope. They should, be out here making calculated decisions. But again, we don't like critical thinking. We like, faith and beliefs and things like that. And so, people don't want to think things all the way out because thinking is hard. But I've noticed that. The other thing that I noticed about, Mahogany Pink's style, and this is what I've noticed about a lot of the divestors. If you notice, and just pay special attention to this, okay? This woman doesn't sound like she's from the ghetto, and I understand that, there's people who come from the inner city and, they're educated and all that, and they took their education and they ran with it, and they know how to code switch and everything else. But I'm just saying, like, between this woman and there's another woman, what's her name? Something Exodus, right? So she's another divester. And I mean, she sounds even worse with it. Like, she sounds like she's just straight from the valley. And what I noticed, and I coined this phrase almost a decade ago, and I called it the Ray Ray and Pookie arguments. Again, these women do not want to talk about the black men that are essentially in the same category that they are. The only time that they will bring up so-called good black men is when they want to assign them the duty of being the cleanup crew. Well, if you're gonna be the leader, well then lead, nigga, lead. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only time. There's no real respect. There's not, like, your duty. There's no desire. There's no thirst. There's nothing that appeals to them about so-called good black men, except for, essentially this mocking uh 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 um statement of, well then you need to go out there and lead, right? Which basically means, you need to, fix all of this, right? Despite the fact that we've been punching holes in the side of the ship, you need to be plugging it up. And until, the ship is seaworthy again, you're not deserving of respect, which I'm going to go into later on in talking about exactly why you end up with a lot of your so-called good black men that either walk away completely, which is the same thing that these women are talking about, or they go off and they have their black families, and they're off in the burbs somewhere, and that's how they operate. I mean, this is where you get the black women like Portia Williams. She came from a solid family. There's black women out here that live like that. I direct you to Baldwin Hills. I direct you to Annapolis, Maryland. I direct you to PG County, Maryland. I mean, these places exist. I direct you to DeSoto, Texas. So in listening to Mahogany Pink, she has it's all, the whole black community is Blackistan. There's only one class in the black community. That's another thing. They act like there's no class, and they complain about a group of men that they most certainly wouldn't, or don't deal with. Right. And they act like, oh, we're rescuing, these other women. These other women really aren't even black women that they would associate or affiliate with, because they're too ratchet or don't have enough classiness to them. Right. But I noticed that sisters do this all the time because they want to be all inclusive. They do it with the skin color, until it's the picking time, until it's the beauty contest. And all of a sudden they want to kick out all the light skins and exoticals and biracials and whatnot. They want to act like all black people are one monolith. There's no difference in class and education and income and where people are living. It's just we're only going to talk about Blackistan because that is where all the dysfunction is. Right. And so I've noticed that. I'm like, okay, so you're treating the black community like it's a monolith. We're only going to have a Ray Ray and Pookie argument. And again, black men that are on their journey or on their path or making money or stable and providing for, they don't exist. And we don't really respect them because, they're outnumbered, and we know that they can't fix all of this themselves. But, we're just going to sit here and we're going to mock them because, the community is broken, and they're too weak and powerless, to change it all. Right. That's essentially these women's argument. We're not going to talk about the context of how it actually got to this point. Right. And how the women contributed to it getting to this point. We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about who the women are choosing. No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, how, these men need to come in and be the cleanup crew. The other thing that was irritating me in listening to this video was the fact of the matter is again, talking about different class groups and whatnot. The majority of the men that are making videos, the men that she use clips and videos of and everything, and I don't agree with every one of those men, but I'm saying the majority of them are childless. They don't have any children. And this is continues to be an issue when, again, these women constantly want to talk about dusties that women like Mahogany Pink wouldn't even bother with. Even if the black community was wholly intact, she wouldn't bother with those men, or that other, the Exodus chick. She wouldn't bother with those men. Let me see what her name, the other Exodus chick. I want to get the name right. Lexus Exodus. It's real catchy, ain't it? I'm Lexus Exodus, But anyway, let's get on with it. Let's dive into this. All right, here we go.
For as long as I've been alive, I've heard black media and black men specifically voicing their complaints about black women. The manosphere will say that this is the first time that black men have had the chance to express their frustrations with you, but we already know that this isn't true. They say that it's not about bashing you, it's about holding you accountable. The manosphere just wants some accountability for the role that you play in the dysfunction of the black community. Black women are more than half of this demographic that we call Black America, so there has to be something things that Black women should be accountable for. Right now, Black men's list of grievances include, but are not limited to, asking you to be accountable for your bad attitude, your high obesity rates, your single motherhood rates, your masculine tendencies, your refusal to submit, your promiscuity, your independent woman, girl, boss, career obsession, but somehow also your gold digging, and most importantly, your hair weaves. I might have missed one or two other items, but I'm sure a Dusty will be in the comments ready to let you all know what it was. Now, a couple of weeks ago, some of you voiced your disagreements with my take.
Notice how she uses the term dusty, like just as like a just they're all dusty. Anybody who disagrees with me is a dusty.
Steve Harvey's comments in the video, The Sadism of Black Male Dating Coaches. Some of you agreed with Steve Harvey, stating that Steve was simply asking women to take accountability for allowing themselves to be mistreated by men.
I know all the mistakes women allowed me to make, and I put them in a book for you.
Where I believe the disconnect is coming from is a difference in understanding of the word accountability. Webster's dictionary defines accountability as an obligation or a willingness to accept responsibility for one's actions. So, taking on an obligation that resulted from an action that you took is what is required to be accountable. And accountability can be a little tricky to assign because every action is preceded by another action. So when someone is being held accountable for something, it's very tempting for that someone to go further and further back in time to pin the deed on someone else. And before you know it, everything started with the serpent in the Garden of Eden. So when Steve Harvey says that he wrote down all of the mistakes that women allowed him to make and put them into a book for women to learn from, what he did was assign an obligation to someone else for something that resulted from his mistakes. There is a word for that, but it's not accountability. It's called blame. Blame is to be accountable for a wrongdoing. It's to find someone responsible for a fault. By Steve Harvey's own words, he was the wrongdoer, ergo he deserves to be accountable for the fault. He deserves the blame. I know some of you may feel that helping women to look out for behavior like the one Steve admits to have exhibited in the past is a form of retroactive accountability. But real accountability would be to write a book teaching men that no matter what a woman will or will not allow, certain behaviors like treating women like notches on a belt are unacceptable. Knowing the difference between accountability and blame will help you to understand why Black men's insistence that you be quote unquote accountable is so treacherous. You can start with the single motherhood rate. Black men want you single mothers to be accountable for choosing the wrong men. Besides the fact that everyone, both men and women, choose wrong, and at least all except for one of your romantic relationships will eventually fail, besides the fact that
Right there. About your relationships. Everybody's going to go out here and choose the wrong person. Basically what she's saying, except for the person that they actually end up marrying. We're talking about single motherhood here. Going out here and dating whoever you want to date, going through multiple relationships, experiencing multiple relationships, that's not the issue here. The issue is having a baby by one of these people that are the wrong person to get with. See how she took something like having a baby with the wrong person and then equalized it to somebody going on multiple dates and having multiple relationships with people, ignoring the fact that that person doesn't have a child, right? I've been in multiple relationships. I've been on multiple dates and everything like that. I don't have a child. Sounds to me like this woman doesn't have a child. Maybe she does. I don't know. But do you see the quick bait and switch? We started with single mothers and making bad decisions, and then she equated making bad decisions and becoming a single mother to somebody who goes out here and has 15 bad relationships before they finally get into the one. I'm like, we're talking about making the decision to have a child with somebody completely different.
Black community should be embarrassed that the average Black child can't have a reasonable expectation that the average Black man will stick around after they're born. And besides the fact that the single motherhood rate is going up for women of all races, as the census shows a rise in white and Hispanic single mothers with mixed children fathered by Black men, why would a woman need to be held accountable for a man abandoning his child? When a woman takes care of a child alone, when she shouldn't have to for the next 18 plus years, that is the accountability. That is.
No, that's not the accountability. That is the consequence. That's not accountability. That's the consequence. The baby is now here. That is a byproduct of, fornication or not using protection or having determining or deciding to go through with the pregnancy. That's the consequence of the action. That's not being accountable. Aside from the fact that there is this whole idea and belief, and this is part of the issue that I have with her, like this idea that black women do things out of the idea that they're doing it because of some idea of righteousness or justice, as opposed to actually doing it because of all of the this sort of rhetoric and the machine that's behind the black woman. Again, like I said before in my other video, you want to make a black woman look extremely bad, be a black man and get custody of your kids. Let the courts rule in favor of the man and he get custody of the kids. She's got nothing to fall back on. Everybody, oh damn, well, what's wrong with her? There's a whole idea. I'm the strong black woman. I'm this, that, and the third. It's like, and I talked about this before with this whole. As soon as a woman could be the biggest hoe on the block. She's sleeping with everybody. She busting it wide open for the whole universe. Okay, for the multiverse. And once she has a baby, now all of a sudden, she is Earth Mother, Goddess, High Priestess. Nobody can talk about her. Nobody can criticize her. Nobody can say, any of the negative things, that she did. Like we can't bring that up. Okay. So, it blows my mind at how, that plays out. And don't get me wrong, I will give credit to the fact that a woman will go out here and she's raising the child, to the best of her ability. But again, there's this assumption that all mothers are excellent, or that all mothers are holding it down, or all mothers are caring and love these children and are raising these children, to the best of their ability. And I'm gonna get into that in a second, but I'm gonna let her continue.
Taking on an obligation that resulted from the action of giving birth. What black men want you to do is be responsible for their actions, to take the blame for their faults. When the person...
Notice how, she's generalizing now. Black men to take actions again, and I talk about this. The black men the majority of which come online don't even have kids. You know what I'm saying? And the guys that these women should be focused on, the guys that they actually had the kid with, they're not online. And I'm gonna get into this, in a minute later as she further, continues, with this point. But it's like she generalizes black men when it's convenient, and then breaks them apart into categories, like when she's talking about the good black men and why aren't you all doing anything? Well, the good black men are not the ones that got you pregnant. These are the ones that you got, and again, speaking to, these are the men that y'all want and y'all desire and y'all get with because, he has some swag or some game or some other stupid, intangible bullshit.
Needs to be blamed for the wrongdoing, abandoning a child in this case, is the person who did it. Sure, there are tools that black women need to use to avoid being mistreated by others, practicing discernment or vetting, setting boundaries, and my favorite, plotting revenge.
Agree with all that.
Mind. But let's do a little thought experiment here. If you had a group of 10 hot in the pants boys ready to say
and I love this example. This one cracks me up.
Anything to get a girl pregnant, and 10 girls who are equally as hot in the panties, ready for morning sickness and prenatal vitamins, and you send them all out into the world, at the end of a year, which group do you think will have the most illegitimate children? Well, barring any twins, it's not possible for the girls to have more than 10 illegitimate children, but the group of boys can have an infinite number of partners and an infinite number of children that they will not stick around to raise. The fact that one irresponsible man can create so many broken homes, and yet the community puts all of the responsibility on its women, is in part why this strategy of eliminating single mother households hasn't been working. Men of other...
See, and that was the bullshit sandwich. Did you peep the bullshit sandwich? Why is that a bullshit sandwich? Why is what she did? If I had 10 women and after 10 years and I had 10 men, right? Because the idea that a woman only has a child a year. And a man can go out there, one man can go out and impregnate a whole bunch of women. And the irony is that's the very point. That's the very point. Because again, going back to her whole argument about Steve Harvey, and I said it in the previous video, is if I had 10 women and I had 10 men. Do all 10 of those women want those 10 men? No, they don't. You're going to have the majority of those women only wanting 10% of those dudes. And you could argue the same thing for the men. But even the women that are low value will still be trying to get with the high value men. They'll still be trying to get with the man that they deem to have the highest value, of all of those men. And this is what we see in the black community. When we look at people like Country Wayne with however many baby mamas he has, when we look at people like who was the other person that had multiple baby mamas? Shawty Low. When we look at people like Future, okay? Even in the context of Blackistan and Dusties and Ray Rays and Pookies and all that, you still only have the women only wanting 90% of the women only wanting 10% of the dudes. So what happens with all the rest of those black men? How are all the rest of those black men? I get it. You want to say he's dusty, doesn't have the resources. Fine, but he didn't get anybody pregnant. You see, the women ignore that. The women are having issues with the men that they lust and desire, the men that they're actually giving it up to. This is why you have Future's got 11 baby mamas. This is why you have people like Desmond Hatchett. What is he at? 35, 36? And you really got to think about what is woman number, 29 thinking when she gets with a man that already has 28 children? What is woman 32 thinking? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is woman 33 thinking? And you got a bunch of childless men out here, but hey, they're not desired. They're not desirable. See, women fuck who they want to fuck. Men fuck who allows them to fuck them. Especially going with the idea that, men are a lot less selective when it comes to sex. And be it that men are a lot less selective when it comes to sex, why are these women who, you have a high value man, he's sleeping with a woman, right? Why are these women allowing these men to impregnate them? Because if the woman doesn't want to get pregnant, she can decide that she can terminate the pregnancy. She can use, contraception, right? If she doesn't want to have the baby. But the thing is that they do want to have the baby. And if the guy wants to have the baby, obviously he's going to have the baby. Or if he's just reckless with his dick, he's going to be reckless with his dick, right? But why would you choose to get with a man that you already know has children by somebody else? I mean, there's all type of dumb shit that goes on. People fighting over who was the first baby mama at the funeral. Nigga dead in a casket, and they in the church fighting over which baby mama was more important to him than not.
Communities hold the men accountable because leaders hold themselves accountable first and everyone else second. But
see, here we go with the rolling into the whole leaders argument. You know what I mean? Black women do not facilitate black male leaders. They don't. It's, again, matriarchy, feminism. They don't believe in the concept. Again, 12 years a slave, chained up against the wall. Resolve this. Show me your papers. You know what I'm saying? Present your papers. Again, it's nice to say, a lot of leaders. See, this is what I call shaming men with the concept of patriarchy that these women don't even fundamentally believe in. This idea that there's some sort of intrinsic maleness, right? Men have to earn their position. Men are not valued unless they can produce, unless they can provide. Women are valued essentially just for being, just for existing, right? Now, that's not to say that all women are valued equally, but I'm just saying the concept in society. And women carry this with them, this belief in that they have intrinsic value, that they don't have to do anything or cooperate with anything, that they just simply exist and are just here to be valued. Looking at this picture, she got a picture of the Godfella. I mean, I'm saying Goodfellas. Godfella. Was it Goodfellas? I think it's Goodfellas. The Godfather. No, so I'm sorry. The Godfather. So she's got a picture of the Godfather and all that. that whole movie was designed, like, you want to talk about patriarchy. You know what I'm saying? What did she not see the movie? You know what I mean? I know she's just using the image, but I'm saying, what so-called freedoms did the women have underneath that kick-ass patriarchy where men were holding other men accountable? And see, that's the thing that women don't like. They always want to talk about men holding men accountable, but in a system or in a society or in a patriarchy where men are holding men accountable, you better goddamn believe that they're going to hold your ass accountable. But see, women, they feel so comfortable in talking about male accountability. Oh, they did this, punish them. Oh, they did that, punish them. These are the consequences of their actions, punish them. But when it comes to women, on the other hand, when women step out of pocket, it's because some man did something somewhere. And so she was either out of her mind or, she was emotionally distraught. And so therefore, because certain parameters weren't set up, she just went out there and just did some totally retarded shit. And then the argument is, well, you need to hold the man accountable that made her do some retarded shit as opposed to actually holding her accountable. It's real, again, more bait and switch. It's real slick what she's doing. She's comfortable with holding men accountable. I'm fine with that. But what about holding women accountable? See, it's not something that she wants to say. She won't actually say it. That women need to be held accountable for their actions. And again, if they're not held accountable for their actions, right, which is one form of punishment, that essentially the universe will hold them accountable for their actions with the consequences. And so everything that she's going to say from here on out to the end of the video, okay, are going to be consequences of what Black women contributed to. Again, acknowledging at the very beginning of the video that they're 50% of the community. They're the first teachers. They're the mothers. All this shit. But again, we never seem to be able to dive into and discuss a lot of this Black female pathology. Whether it's the dumb foolishness that Jada Pinkett is running around doing with her high priestess, Hoteptress bullshit, and literally Hoteptress. Okay? All that bullshit, or like what you heard with the Don Napoleon, skit and that other woman in the background. You know what I'm saying? Like these type of, or I wasn't a skit, but it was a clip. But you get what I'm saying. Like these type of women that engage in this sort of I want to do whatever I want to do, behavior that affects everybody else. Again, it's like nobody believes in holding them accountable. Again, it'll be filed underneath the idea of they're liberated and free and all this other shit. Like women will say you need to put women in a box. I already heard women say that. Like Black men should know that Black women need to be controlled. All other races of men know that their women need to be controlled because of emotions and hormones and all that other shit. I love how women can blame shit on their hormones. Isn't that like hilarious? Right? If a woman goes out there and she does some crazy shit, hormones. That dismisses it. A black man goes out there and does some crazy shit. He's violent because of testosterone. Can we blame violence on testosterone? No. Why is she able to blame her craziness on, her estrogen? Anyway.
Black community, things are a little inverted. And when the community's message is that only women are responsible for children and that women who fail to get the fathers of their children to take on the responsibility of raising them deserve to be shunned, you can start to see why so many Black women have a built-in distrust of Black men.
Yeah, because they're going to be, see again, she's not, notice, like this whole video, she doesn't bring up childless men. She says nothing on childless men. It's like her whole argument is focused on men that have children. And the majority of the men that are complaining don't have children. So yes, childless men are going to shun a woman that has, a child, because women determine who they lay down with. Men don't determine that. Women determine that, because anything other than that is what? Rape. So women determine who they lay down with. It's like these women want you to think about it like this. It's like they want you to literally go out here and be like a Secret Service agent diving in slow motion to cock block them from any guy that you feel that they shouldn't be with, even though they're obvious, like that whole process is going down all because she's interested or showing interest. And you're supposed to prevent that from happening, which is typically what, a father is supposed to do or will do when he's present. But, again, if you got a mother that's not out here choosing the right man, and then you got a daughter that's out here, she's not choosing the right man, which I put a little bit less on her than the mother, because, where's her example? Just like I say with the sons, again, let's be fair about that. Right? If the boy is affected because his father's not there, the girl's going to be affected because the father's not there. But again, we now have the internet. We are aware of these outcomes. We are aware of these situations. So why is it, even with the information out here, you still have black women trying to dodge accountability when it comes to the situation that they fostered? Tell me. Yes, men that don't have children are going to shun women with children. That's a fact. That's a fact. And like I said, and I've been saying, when I came of age, man, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting a single mother. I mean, it was like, what the hell, man? It's like all y'all got babies. And again, nobody's telling you that you can't get with, have fun with, sleep with who you want. That's not the issue. The issue is when you go out here, you have a baby, and now you're back on the market. I don't have anything to do with that. What, are you going to charge me with a crime? It's cool that you like to feel that you can come online and be like, and black men, and you black men, bitch, I didn't fuck you. You didn't give me the pussy. You know what I'm saying? So how are you going to put that on me? You need to talk to these. I don't need to talk to nobody. What do you want me to say to the nigga that you got with? What do you want me to say to him? Well, you need to take care of your family. You need to handle this and you need to handle that. Obviously, he was everything that you wanted, or everything that you thought that you wanted. And so now it's like, now all of us, now you want the vetting process to happen after the fact. Again, like, some people are who they are when they're who they are when you meet them. If a man hasn't demonstrated, I mean, this is the whole vetting process that Mahogany has for herself, right? If a man doesn't have resources, you think Mahogany Pink is going to date him? No. Why not? Why not? Why isn't she going to date him? Because he doesn't have resources. What is she equating the resources to? Well, if you don't have the resources, if you can't provide and take care of yourself, then chances are you can't take care of me, right? Lever A touches lever B, right? She's putting two and two together, right? How are you going to lead me if you haven't demonstrated effective leadership in your own life? Good question. That's what needs to be done. So again, how do you handle that situation after the fact? How do you handle that situation? How do you get, like these women literally think, and I remember when Cap and we talked about this. Women who literally think that just because a man got a woman pregnant, that suddenly economic opportunities are going to fall out of the sky. If the nigga didn't have a job before he met you, the likelihood of him having a job after you get pregnant, or just because you got pregnant, is not a reality. But yet some of you think that well, I had a baby, so you need to make it happen. And the economy doesn't work like that. Economics doesn't work like that. But this is what these women think when they go out here and they make these sort of decisions. They're like, okay, well, we're in this boat now, so shit's gotta happen. And the whole problem with that thought process is it's so after the fact. No, you analyze these situations before you walk into them, not after. It's not, oh, well, just because this happened, that well this needs to change. It might not be able to change. You know what I mean? Just like the Titanic couldn't avoid that damn iceberg. You know what I'm saying? Or one of the reasons why, once a train gets moving and something is on the tracks, you know what I mean? Something jumps out in front of the train. It's called inertia. Okay, the train just can't stop just because something jumped in front of the damn tracks. Whatever's in front of the tracks It doesn't matter whether it's a person, a body, a freaking log or whatever, it's going to get hit. I don't know if you saw that video on YouTube. It was like a tractor trailer that was in front of the train. People was like, why didn't the train just stop? Because the train just like in your car, when you're on the highway and you slam the brakes and you're going 90 miles an hour, you're going to go probably a good 120 or 130 feet before that automobile stops. Because the only thing that's stopping the car, yeah, you're hitting the brakes. You stop rotation of the tires. But guess what? The inertia of the vehicle is still going to have you slide right forward. So again, this is why shit has to be planned. I'm sitting here thinking about some nerd shit like damn Star Wars, where Han Solo was, like, why can't we just go to hyperdrive now? Like this Luke Skywalker was saying. And he was like, so, this isn't like, what do you say? This is like crop dusting or something like that. He was like, you just go into hyperdrive. You may go through a star or go through a quasar or some other bullshit. Yeah, exactly. You got to plan this shit out. And see, it just demonstrates to me, and this is why I don't get a lot of sisters, because they brag about all of their wisdom and they know what's going on, they know what to do, they know what to this, they know what to that. No, black women are reactors. They react to shit. But it's clearly evident that the majority of them don't plan shit out. And God forbid us as men, if we ask for women to plan shit out the same way that we have to plan shit out just to be able to be respected as men.
Reasonable suspicion that the men who approach them are there to take more than they give. All too often, they're proven right. Of course, black men don't like when you have that kind of attitude. And let's face it, black women do have to be accountable for their bad attitudes. It's not a myth. Your matriarchal ancestors developed a set of physical and personality traits that help.
Matriarchal ancestors. See, this is what I'm saying when I say that, and this goes back to what I said about wrong orientation. The women come online and they like to say, black women are this way because the community is broken. But then you'll have women who argue, matriarchal ancestors, it's in our DNA, we're just like this. You heard the Don Napoleon clip, okay? It's when it's the moving time, when it's the moving time. You know what I mean? It's in our DNA not to follow. You see, which to me, I think it's bullshit. I think the reality is yes, the community, the negative aspects of the community have affected black women, but I just think that a lot of black women are determined to be defiant. That's just what it is, because they don't have that general respect for black men, especially if their fathers weren't there. If their fathers weren't there, man, it's like you might as well just write it off. But again, here we go back to the, your matriarchal ancestors. How far back do you want to go with matriarchal ancestors? Since she wanted to go, the point that she made earlier, she wanted to go all the way back to the Garden of Eden. How far back does matriarchal ancestors go?
Survive an environment that their men could not protect them from, and that's still true today. Nonetheless, a bad attitude is a liability. Anywhere outside of Blackistan, a bad attitude hurts you more than it helps you. But many of you don't live outside of Blackistan, and that's the problem. You live in neighborhoods where men behave like this.
So now she's showing that case of the 15-year-old girl that was beat up in Brooklyn, right? And I don't know what the whole story is about. I don't think anybody has all of the details. I had some people try to say something like there was a fight earlier and then, this is what happens. Again, teenagers, one of the 16-year-old boys that was involved with this, he got shot. So he was shot and killed. And I'm like, where is 16, 15, 14-year-old kids get guns and everything? So Brooklyn, New York, you see what's going on in Brooklyn right now. A lot of gang shit and all of the type of shit. Completely different. It's like a completely different animal. And see, the thing is like what frustrates me. See, she's trying to make this just about, some innate, so in other words, this is in black men's DNA, like this right here, right? Not the environment, not the situation, not the circumstances, not the single-mothered households that they're coming from, not the lack of fathers with the proper orientation. No, none of that. Not the lack of economics, not the reason why these boys are doing this. They're doing it because, they just hate black women and it's in their DNA, and black women are just victims to the shit. We don't even have any black women out here who are in gangs or living that life, running around like, young MA or who was that other clip? I had a clip of some sister, they were in New York, and, she was up there talking crazy, pretty too, but talking crazy, just talking crazy. I'm not from New York. I don't know New York culture like that and how they get down. All I know is there's a lot of gang. It's all that shit. Okay? Like, I don't know nothing about that shit. You know what I mean? But again, this woman, does she sound like she comes from that environment? Does she sound like no, she doesn't sound like. So again, it becomes a dusty, argue, oh, this is Blackistan and oh, this is this and that. And, again, we understand why the women are like this because look at the environment, even though it's in our DNA. But we don't want to explore why the boys are like this. And certainly don't bring it to the women and who they're choosing and who they're having the baby by, who are men in the streets and all this other shit. Because that's exactly what they are. It's like the women birth the type of sons that are a reflection of the very type of men that they think are sexy and they get with. All these boys that stepped on this girl's head and did the Macarena, chances are they're going to go out there and have multiple baby mamas. It's a vicious cycle. You know what I mean? But see, this is the whole problem when people want to ignore class. As opposed to looking at the situation from a class standpoint, they want to look at it from a gender standpoint. And what these divestors like to do is make it that there's only one class in the black community, but somehow they float all above it. There's only one class in the black community, and black women are just victims of all of this this behavior and toxicity and everything else like that. We're not looking at different classes of people. And I get it if all we're going to do is be focused on Blackistan. I get it. But to sit there and say, oh, well, this is a byproduct of the women are like this and that and single mothers and overweight and everything else because it's a byproduct of their environment. Okay, fine. But we're not going to do that with the boys? We're not going to do that with the boys. Okay.
And the supposed good guys and the educated lames that you're all overlooking can't or won't protect you from these goons that run the block, but demands that you walk around that same block, feminine, fit, friendly, and submissive with a smile on your face.
No, that's not what they're sitting around demanding. Fit, feminine, and with a smile on your face. First, like, how do I put this? Notice how the ELs only come up when it's cleanup time. Like I said at the very beginning of this video. Only come up when it's cleanup time. You know what I mean? The reason these women being fit and everything else comes up, being fit and tight, is because the women that are from these environments, after it doesn't work out with Ray Ray and Pookie and the Dusties and everything else, they think that they can just simply wake up and decide that now they want a population from a class that they know nothing about, have no real connection to. They have the audacity, they all want white women. They're all out over here and all over there, even though these two populations have never really had all that much of an interaction. They vaguely know about each other. ELs are lame and they live in the burbs somewhere. And then and then from the lame perspective, these women are just ratchet and have a whole bunch of babies and bad attitudes and everything else. And that's just basically how they view each other. But these women calling this Kevin Samuels show, the women that come from the poverty and come from the inner city after they have a baby and all that, demanding with anger and entitlement that some man with resources come through and quote unquote rescue them or quote unquote come and date them or choose them or put them on a pedestal and value them. I'm going to get into that in a second. I'm going to wait till she gets to that part because I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Real here, black men aren't winning any congeniality contests either, but nobody has a problem when black men are as aggressive as they feel like they need to be to survive. 1,100 black girls and women have been killed so far this year. Last year, 1,500 of you were killed. 100,000 black women and girls went missing, and millions were assaulted. We haven't even mentioned children and the LGBTQ community. I find
rape and pillage. See, that's another example of her just stating, just arbitrary facts and then just moving right along. We're just gonna move the conversation just right along, right? So she talks about women being killed and women being assaulted and all that, right? Which I don't doubt goes on, because anytime you have an environment where people are in poverty, stressed, and everything else, you're gonna have situations like that, happen again. We're back to women not talking about their end of domestic violence, which has already been statistically proven that it's like 50-50, but yet women are more likely to die at the hands of a man when a man commits domestic violence against them versus the other way around, even though women are more likely, to use weapons, just as women are more likely to attempt suicide, but men are more likely to finish their own suicide. But notice how she brings up, and we're not even talking about the women and children and the LGBT, or excuse me, not the women and children, the children and the LGBT. First off, let's start with the LGBT. We already know why the LGBT goes down, because men cannot ungay. Okay, which one of you heteronormative cisgendered women are getting ready to date a man that previously used to go out there and date transgender women? None of you. Again, Lil Nas is like, I'm not gays no more. Ain't nobody fucking with Lil Nas. Okay. The other thing is you have transgender women specifically who go out there, because notice the transgender men are generally, not bothered with. If somebody could pull up the statistics between who catches more death, the transgender women or the transgender men. Now black women will probably try to jump up and be like, they black men hate transgender women because the misogyny is still the same. They'll probably try to make an argument like that about that. But the reality is you got transgender women who aren't truthful about who and what they actually are. And then you also have transgender women who get themselves involved in relationships and then try to expose nigga like what happened with Young Buck, a part of G Unit, with the phone call and all that other stuff. Now getting on to the children, again, we see this every day. I see this every day. These images of black women who kill their children, just as much as I'm starting to see all these white women that decide that they want to have sex with underage children at schools and whatnot. I don't know. That wasn't going on when I was in school. They were always getting the male teachers, for sexually assaulting, 15-year-olds and stuff like that. But now, man, you see a whole hell of a lot of white female teachers. I'm like, what is going on? Can't you get you some grown dick? Apparently not. But anyway, my point is that we see case after case after case of black mothers who kill their children. Now, I already know what mahogany pinks are. Well, they're stressed, and it's the environment, and it's all this, and so they deserve a pass, right? That's going to be her argument. They kill the children, and they kill the girls and everything, right? Because it's not like they're just out here killing boys. No, they kill the girls too. Because women, again, that's just the whole way the situation is, they get custody of the children. So who's more likely to have access to the children and kill the children? That's right, Ma Dukes. Not saying that men never do it, but a lot of times what we see is that women are doing it. Black women are doing it. Drowning the children, decapitating the children, shooting the children with firearms, burning the children with cigarettes, all type of abuse. And God knows what the child went through before it actually came to the child dying. But anyway, I'm just saying, notice how she just moved the conversation along. Brought up children getting killed and just moved it along. Transgenders, and moved it along.
Disturbing that when the topic of what is destroying the black community comes up, black women's attitudes are at the top of the docket when the men can't even get the murder rate down. And I get it, crime is a symptom of poverty, but so is obesity, and so are bad wigs. So why are we extending grace to men?
See, she's making the same argument that I'm making, but in reverse. even when it comes to the weight, I do not ignore the fact that poverty affects weight and weaves and all that shit that, generally speaking, men like myself don't like. But what's the excuse for the women that were in the burbs? Because I grew up in the burbs. What's their excuse? Because black women were just as big in the burbs. See, there's other cultural stuff that she doesn't like to cover. I'm big and I'm sexy. You know what I'm saying? Lizzo got all the money in the world. Now that she's a millionaire, she could go to Weight Watchers. She could get a trainer. She could hire Tyson Beckford as her personal trainer. She could get the weight down if she wanted to. But there's this idea. So this idea of, like, I'm gonna sound like a Republican saying it, but it's like how they jump up and they're like, you can't just throw money at the problem. That won't solve things. It's the culture. I'm gonna have to agree with them on this. I'm like, because I'm telling you, even sisters with money, they don't know, hell, sisters with money. Oh, now I'm gonna eat out and be eating out every night, and oh yeah, please, more butter for the lobster and everything else. Gym memberships cost $10. Gyms are cheaper than they've ever been. $10 a month. What you want? Planet Fitness. I mean, what you want? LA Fitness, right? What you want? I mean, there's all type of gyms, that y'all could go to. I don't know if they even still got Bally's, but there's all type of gyms that y'all could go. Retro Fitness. There's all type of gyms that y'all could go to. Okay? But no, y'all ain't into doing that. I don't want to sweat my hair out. I don't like just working out in general, which, again, just like what she brought up about the bad attitudes, and the bad attitudes aren't going to serve you in Blackistan. Going over the fence and being overweight is not going to serve you in going over the fence and getting with other groups, which is funny because later on she shows all these images of these black women with these white men, and none of them are overweight.
Terrorize their own neighborhoods, but not to women who try to survive alone in them. Every year, study after study shows that Black women's obesity rates are a combination of abnormally high stress levels, overstretched food budgets that lead to poor quality food choices, lack of time to prepare healthy meals as they're often the only ones working in a household, and food deserts and food swamps where Black women have limited access to fresh whole foods. But when you ask Black men...
See, again, like I said, still big in the suburbs. So as much as I support, all those contributing factors, still biggest house in the suburbs. What's the deal? There's got to be a cultural element to it, a belief system.
Some grocery stores in these same food deserts that their women and children live in. Watch the look of confusion appear all over.
I've already brought that point up about owning the economic landscape and whatnot of the Black community in that environment, but you're not going to get those type of men with that sort of mentality coming out of that environment with the cultural orientation that is instilled in them by these Black women who go out here and have babies with the wrong men. Why? Patriarchy is a dirty word. Leadership is a dirty word. But when it comes to Black male responsibilities, y'all just expect that to happen. What does the Black man get out of it? Where do you want to talk about, well, we're not doing X, Y, and Z because there's no guarantee. We don't see where, we get the sort of, where there's going to be a reward in the situation. And you think Black men see that in an inner city environment? You think that, again, the very men that you would need to fix the problem, where are they getting any of the respect? Again, Black girl come out of the inner city, she ain't contributing to nothing but herself. Black girl magic, she going to the moon and back, all that other stuff. All type of praise. We need more Black women like this. Comes to the Black boys, inner city environment, if they make it out and make something of themselves, it's like they're spit on. And again, I've already talked about, what are the contributing factors? They don't want to be judged. They don't want to be told what to do. And, they don't want to have a man calling the shots, which is that, that 10, 15% of patriarchy that they don't like. They like everything else. I don't know how many times I have to say it. They like everything else. Everything else is good. We want that. Yes. Yes. Responsibility. Yes. Y'all owning some supermarkets. Yes. We want that. Yes. You know what I mean? But they don't want those men. I mean, this was called out years ago, that they don't want or desire any of these men, that they want to take on the burden of responsibility of all the things that need to be fixed in the community. What they want is they want the Dusties and the Ray Rays and Pookies that they're getting with and having babies right now. They want them to demonstrate a level of responsibility. That's what they want. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of, they don't want the, so what if the lame comes in and he's got his cape on and everything else? She not going to get with him. She doesn't want him. She doesn't desire him. She doesn't lust him. Whatever it is, he's not attractive. He doesn't have it. Despite his resources, that may be the only thing that she's looking at. But him as a person, not interested. She's interested in her man. And this is why I'm saying these complaints need to be specifically filed with the men that black women deal with, as opposed to the blanket statement about the group of men that y'all don't even want, nor do you even respect. You don't even give them basic levels of respect. Like Tariq Nasheed used to say, black women have a default disrespectful disposition for black men, even the ones that haven't done anything to them.
Their faces and listen for the excuses that will follow. They want you to look like princesses and behave like princesses in an environment that princesses do not belong, to raise little...
Who is filing that complaint? Is Ray Ray and Pookie on the block filing that complaint? Because I'm saying I see black women all the time I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And I see these men that, that these are their baby mamas. I look at the dude, these Dusties, Ray Ray and Pookie. I look at her, she's a ratchet. Okay, they're perfect for each other. See, again, there's this conflation of populations in order to make these sorts of arguments. Are ELs online bitching about the lack of femininity of black women? Yes, they're bitching about the femininity of black women. Do they truly expect that to come from these inner city environments? No, but these women are claiming that they're trying to level up and they're trying to cross over into whose world? Is the EL going into the inner city, or is Keisha going out to the burbs to where the EL is? If Keisha is going out to the burbs where the EL is, then Keisha needs to put in the same damn effort that she's putting in to go out here and get with Massa and get with one of these white boys, as again, Mahogany Pink is going to put, so eloquently, in as the video continues. But see, what the argument will be, well, when the black woman goes to the burbs, the white man controls the whole entire economic environment of the burbs. So the black woman has no issue losing weight, becoming feminine, wearing makeup, being a docile flower with the white man in the burbs. She's just not going to do it with the black man in the burbs because y'all niggas is weak. Y'all left the inner city because you couldn't handle a real strong black woman, all that bullshit. And this is where the fake femininity comes in. Where a lot of these women, no, they're a byproduct of their environment. Again, we could argue no fault of their own, but they're a byproduct of their environment. You know what I mean? And many of them, what they want is they want access to the resources of lanes because they now realize, like, shit, these Dusties, these Pookies and everything else, like, they don't have any resources. And as I get older, you know what I'm saying? That's what becomes more important as opposed to whatever bullshit she was on when she was in her early 20s and had the damn baby.
Girls to be docile and fragile and demure in Blackistan is to raise daughters to be lambs to the slaughter. When the men don't feel like there's anything that they need to do to make your community safer and to help you drop those intergenerational defense mechanisms so that you can finally rest in your femininity, accountability becomes a new zip code. But heaven forbid a black woman mention that she's only considering men who can afford to move her out of these neighborhoods and into safer ones after a long shame-filled...
Notice what she said. Moving black women out of these neighborhoods and into safer ones. See, okay, so what is the goal? Let me ask that question. Right? If Keisha is moving, I'm just using Keisha as a general name. If Keisha is moving out of the inner city and moving into a better one, the burbs, even though I've heard arguments against that the burbs is only a place where self-hate grows faster in the children because it's not their environment. Valid point. I'll take that. Right? But if Keisha is moving out of the inner city and into the burbs, right? Should that black man take his resources and what? Fix the inner city that they no longer live in? And this is another issue that comes up because a lot of these black women will come online and they will talk about, that they want, like, even this sister, Mahogany Pink. Let's just say, all of 9 planets are aligned or whatever, and then she goes out there and she comes across a black man that is worthy of her. Okay? And then that black man, they're dating, traveling and doing stuff and everything else. And then one day he just becomes conscious and then starts spending the, disposable income that he has since, he's well-to-do and, she's being taken care of and whatnot. So he's taking care of her and, he's got this disposable income. And instead of spending it on her, he says, you know what, Mahogany, I can no longer spend it on you anymore. You're right. I really should be out here fixing the community. You're right. So I'm going to take on the mentorship of 16 black boys. And she says, yeah, that's great. That's wonderful. Okay. Then he cancels the trip to Cancun. And then Mahogany Pink goes, wait. What do you mean? Wait. I'm a princess. I need to be taken care of. I need to be provided for because I signed up for this patriarchy that I don't even like quite as it's kept, but I signed up for it and you were in the position to provide and take care of me. He says, but babe, I can't do all of it. You know what I mean? I got black boys. I got a mentor in the community. I mean, everything that you complain about, I got black boys that I got a mentor out here in the inner city, that are the byproduct of relationships that I never had with any of these women. But since, I'm being a good black man, right? Since I'm going to be the hero with my white knight cape on, right? And fixing the community so that I can gain the respect of other black women and the respect from you, boo. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to do this, but I can't do it all. So we're going to have to cancel that trip to Cancun this winter. And then what do you think is going to happen? You think she's going to co-sign that shit? Oh, hell no. She gonna be like, fuck them little niggas in the inner city. Fuck that. I ain't trying to lose my trip to Cancun. Yeah, sorry, honey. I can't get you that brand new 2021 Escalade that you wanted because I'm out here mentoring. I'm out here fixing the community of situations that I did not create. So these same black women that are like Mahogany Pink, especially the bougie ones, the ones that are used to comfortable lifestyles. Now, again, I can't say for certain whether Mahogany Pink comes from that background, but she sounds like it. Lexus Exodus most certainly sounds like it. Y'all need to fix the community and everything else. And which one of you are going to be on the arm of the dude that's fixing the community? Which one of you are going to tolerate being with a black man that isn't spending all the time with you because on the weekends, as opposed to, I don't know, going to the beach with you or going on a picnic or going to some other family event, he's over there in the community, mentoring. Which one of you are going to be with him? He's coming back, at 12 o'clock at night because he wanted to make sure that all of his students got home or all of the boys that he was mentoring got home safely. So he didn't walk in the door until 12:30 on a Friday night. Which one of you are getting ready to sign up for that? See, y'all talk a good game. You talk a lot of shit, but you ain't trying to be the helpmate or the wife of a man that's actually doing that type of shit. And this is how you know a lot of these women are full of shit.
About gentrification, here comes the pitchforks and the scarlet letter G for gold digger. And let's explore that. Are black women really gold diggers? Because let the manosphere tell it, and you're all after these men for their hypothetical money. A mansion, $10,000.
They either already have the money or they don't. Let's not argue hypothetical money because if they don't have the money, then they're dusty. Again, like she said, trying to slam the Kevin Samuels followers, these Dusties are paying top dollar. How are Dusties paying Kevin Samuels a top dollar if they're Dusty? I see $100 in the super chat consistently with Kevin Samuels. You see, and the whole thing, we really got to break down this whole gold digger argument. Yes, there are men who throw up the gold digger complaint. Gold digger, gold digger. I do hold black women accountable for a lot of that. And the reason I say that is because if a black man's out here with a white woman, what do black women say? She only wants you for your money. She only wants you for your money. Okay, that suggests that the black woman doesn't want him for just his money. She wants him for other purposes. But I'm going to tell you what the big issue is. And I just want black women to keep that one in mind. The big issue is the EL population, the good black men that y'all like to ignore until it's responsibility time and fixing, and you want to shame this population of men for making demands or putting demands on you. The fact of the matter is that we have witnessed you all go out here and get with a man off of this strength of nothing. Okay? You go out here, dude doesn't have a job, you're having his baby. You go out here, we hear about the sexual escapades. We hear about you sucking dicks in the back of cars. We hear about dudes running trains and everything. All this shit. Dude ain't got nothing going on. And y'all busting it wide open. Busting it wide open for these guys. You know what I mean? We're red-blooded men. We want some sex too. We want some loving too. But we're out here busting our asses off, trying to reach the pinnacle of our careers or whatever. But we ain't it. But again, when y'all decide whether you have babies or not, when you decide that you want to, click over these women, these same women that were busting it wide open for men that didn't have anything to offer, now all of a sudden they running up talking about, I know my worth. I know my worth. Cum stain still on her dress. I know my worth. And now they expect that population of men, the ELs, to come through and somehow worship these women and put them on a pedestal and just empty their pockets. I know what I'm worth. You're going to take me to an expensive dinner and I'm going to order the most expensive plate on the dish, or the most expensive dish in the restaurant and the most expensive wine because I know my worth. So in other words, it's not a matter of your worth. It's a matter of the fact that you got with a bunch of dusties over the course of several years or decade or more, and you got used and abused of everything else. And now you feel some type of way about that. And now you're going to take all that out. You're going to take all that compounded interest and then charge it to a black man. The class of black men that you weren't even really fucking with before. Now he's got to pay full price. Now he has to go through the ringer. Now he's got to wine and dine. Well, no, why can't he get the pussy like my man got it? Well, I changed my mind. Look, I'm not going to sit there and disparage a woman who wants to change her mind and everything else like that. The problem is you all have already built a reputation. Just like you want to say black men have a particular reputation in certain areas and you don't trust them because of X, Y, and Z. Well, guess what? That works in both directions. You all have built a reputation of being dusty magnets. You all have built a reputation for accepting less. And I don't want to sit up in here and say, and because of that, black women deserve less. I don't want to dare sit up in here and say that. But man, is it hard. Man, is it hard to sit there and have to come out of your pocket and put in all the work for a woman that some other man, got her off of the strength of nothing. And then to add insult to injury, to throw salt on that gaping wound, you're going to have the dusty jump up and talk shit. Yeah, bitch nigga. Yeah, I got, while you whining and dining this hoe, man, I got her off of the strength of nothing. And you out here with the capes. Look at you. Look at you, simp motherfucker. Yeah, that's what we got to hear. And that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing if you find yourself in a situation like that. Oh, especially if you go out here and you pull a Dr. Boyce Watkins, and you go out here and you get with a woman and you taking care of Pookie's kids. Again, like I said, it's the cowbird situation. The cowbird goes and drops its eggs off in other nests, and then it flies off. Ha ha! Just flies off. And we got a bunch of cowbirds in the black community. And I'm not trying to be that Robin that's sitting there neglecting my own seed while taking care of the cowbird's eggs. I'm not going to do that. And again, we don't even have to talk about women even having kids. It's just the whole principle of the fact that you were out here getting with dudes, busting it wide open off the strength of nothing. Hell, if you throw even years on there or age on there, it's like, damn, I didn't even get you when you were the best looking. I didn't get you when you were the tightest. I didn't get none of that, but this other dude did. This is why it's important for women to, protect their chastity. That's why it's important. Women are, contrary to popular belief, you all are a reflection of the type of men that you get with. I mean, point blank, period. If you go out here, as a young man and you see some beautiful woman and then you come to find out like, hey, she's only out here messing with doctors and lawyers and, these high rolling men, you're going to be like, man, I can't, man, even if I try, man, I'm like, I can't compete with that. Men don't even try at that point, to be honest, which is why you saw the whole situation with Aisha Curry and her talking about where's the thirst. And then people pulled up that embarrassing ass tweet that she had, where she was, like talking about Dusty, you know what I mean? Yeah, but once people realize, wait a minute, your husband is the best shooter in the NBA, like, nah, chick, I can't fuck with that. Nope, can't fuck with that. Because they recognize men measure women by the men that they're with. Like, oh, chick, I could have pulled some slick shit on you, but I ain't even gonna try because I know the caliber of dudes that you fuck with. And I'm saying that's for the dusties that'll even, that thought will even enter their mind. But in the realm of professional and educated men, they already know what time it is. They already know what time it is. Only way that you're going to get access, to a woman that has the proper orientation and knows the caliber of man that she's with is a woman who's really disgruntled because either A, he's cheating, or B, he's lost interest in her. That's the only way that you're going to get in that situation. And quiet as is kept, that is what you see with other races of women. But you don't really see that with black women. Other races of women seem to know to get with the guys that got it going on. And this is my whole thing. Like, let me say this, because this thought just popped into my mind, right? Because she's going to further go on about the supporting the Dusties and talking about other races. Why do y'all do that? You know what I mean? Like Mahogany Pink, let me say this. There's going to be certain things that in here that she says that I'm going to agree with about better choices and women doing this, that, and the third. Okay? But it's the context in which she puts it in that really just irks me. Okay? But why is it that we keep hearing this narrative of black women going out here and supporting, the men and building them up, and they built you and everything? She got a clip of some other people talking about it. They built you up. First off, why are you supporting? Well, I already know the answer to that. That's a dumb question. Because my question is, right, like, let's say, I'm going to say ELs aren't perfect, right? All that stuff, controlling supermarkets and shit like that. Fuck it. Let's go with that. I'm saying these are the men that have the financial wherewithal to do that. So if you're a black woman and you want that to be, that's a priority to you as a black woman, why don't you get with the guys or desire the guys that are actually in the position to do that? I'm saying if you're community focused and you're community minded, why don't you get with the guy? What is with this Build-A-Bear? What is this Build-A-Nigga type shit? Y'all go and find the dustiest nigga with 5 felonies and then say, I'm going to get with him and I'm going to build him up. I've already talked about, again, you don't want to be judged, your own insecurities and those sorts of things. Oh, if I build him up, then he owes me, that sort of debt situation. You want him to be indebted to you. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to live up to the criteria or the standards of a man who's already established, again, because of all these black girl magic belief systems that you all are just intrinsically better than black men. Which I don't even know how a black man can be with you and kiss you in the mouth and be intimate with you when that's how you feel, because that's no different than how a white supremacist feels. So what's the difference between getting with a white supremacist and getting with you if that's how you truly feel about black men? But I already know that the majority of these women that come online, these divestors, especially these Valley Girl divestors that come online, you know what I mean? They don't really care about the black community. They don't. Because they most certainly are not, they do not want to link up with a black man. As soon as they get with a black man that's got resources and is living in the burbs, oh shit, I see you living good. I see you. Right? As soon as they link up with that, you know what I mean? They do not want him spending his resources to fix the black community. They are the fuck gone. They are up there, getting their hair done every weekend, riding around in their expensive luxury SUV, and sitting there, smiling in the faces of all the proletariat black women that are just beneath them, and acting like somehow they're, there's some position to aspire to. But that's not the case. The case is that they, like the ELs are being accused of, they just want to live a comfortable lifestyle. That's it. They want to live a comfortable lifestyle. And the funny thing is, I know, because I even asked my own super successful mother about that shit. And when I asked her about it, man, oh, you want to talk about excuses. You want to talk about feathers being ruffled. You know what I mean? I'll just say it basically came down to, I have already contributed to the black community. And so, I'm not, basically how I live and what I contribute to, two different things. Because keep in mind, I grew up in a totally different environment. I grew up in a predominantly white environment. You see, I didn't grow up in the BC. My mother saw the ills of Blackistan and she got the fuck out. But the funny thing, the real like messed up part about it all, this is why you really can't escape blackness. Like, most black people can't escape black. These women are talking about, we're going to go and we're going to swirl it up. And all they're going to do is create light-skinned bitches that they can't stand, or light-skinned sons that they don't want, who will probably also marry out, being that that's the cultural orientation and the environment that they were raised in. And the same thing will happen for both black men and women who run off to the burbs. Their sons, like myself, will grow up with an affinity or affiliation with non-black women. You know what I mean? So, like, nothing's really being solved here. Like, you can't save half the community. If you save half the community, then the community is no longer the community. And then in the future, we will just be a whole population of beige people. If things play, if everybody got what they wanted with the jumping the fence and the swirling and shit, which is not the reality. All you're going to have, Blackistan will continue to be Blackistan. It will require both black men and black women, to support each other in fixing the black community. But I'm saying all these lifestyle hypergamous women, they don't want to do that. They do not want to do that. Not when they realize how much that shit's going to cut into their quality of life. So I'm like, miss me with some of these complaints. Because when it really comes down to it, when it comes down to, when the freaking rubber hits the road, the brass tacks of it all, nah, they don't want to support that. Hey, yeah, chick, hey, yeah, I make X amount of dollars a year. I would be driving a much nicer car, but I figured I wouldn't because, I'm out here trying to, invest in the community.
It is true, black men still earn more money than black women, but married black women are more likely to be the breadwinners in a black household than the other way around.
Why is that? Think about that. Black men earn more than black women, but we're the dusties. And black women who are married down. Why are they marrying down? Now, they would argue, that's because the black men that got money, they don't want a black woman, they want a weak white woman. Right? They'll say some shit like that. They're self-hating, they're colorist and everything else. I'm saying, fuck it, I'll put that on the table. I'll give you that there's some men that are like that. But I'm going to put something else on the table that I've been continuously putting on the table. Some of you all may anticipate what I'm about to say, which is that you have black women out here that are what? Intentionally choosing subordinate men so that they can what? Call shots in the relationship. Because they don't like that 10% of that comes with the patriarchy. Like, do you understand like how easy it is for me to dismantle this shit? Do y'all not understand like that like once you put all the dots together, like you start realizing the smoke and mirrors that these women come with in their arguments?
Black men the most likely to marry up in both finances and education, and you the most likely to marry down. So
notice how she just conflated two populations. Black men make more than black women, but they're the most likely group to marry up. That would be the dusty category. You see? And the black women are marrying down because they're marrying the dusty category. But she conflated the two to make it as though we don't have any black men that are worthy of being head of household or providing for their families and all that shit and having the nuclear structure and all that.
You can throw Cardi B lyrics in your faces all day, but you simply do not have a history of passing over men who earn less money. And black women face disproportionate.
Oh my God. Exactly. You don't have a history of passing over men who make less money because that allows you to call the shots in the relationship. See how she glosses over that? You know what I mean? Like it's like she's trying to paint the picture that these women they go out here and they get with dusties because they have no other choice or no other option, right? So none of these men are desirable, even though when we look at the facts, we got 90% of women getting with 10% of dudes, right? We got all type of street dudes out here that got multiple baby mamas, right? But those dudes aren't desirable. And then when it comes to the women who are educated and get with dusties, the issue is what? What she wants to pretend like these women are not getting with subordinate men so that they can call shots in the relationship.
Amounts of financial abuse from their intimate partners in comparison to all other demographics. But if you instead decided that you're going to do what's necessary to protect and provide for yourself by yourself, watch your entire community chime in with their criticisms of your ambition, quickly reminding you that you can still have everything, but you're nothing without a man, and men don't care about your education or how much money you earn, which they should, since they don't seem to care about their education or how much money they earn, but you still have to survive.
See, we're totally in dusty realm right now. Do you notice that? Do you notice how much we've gotten off of the so-called good black men and the men with resources that could fix the problem but simply don't? Now we're back to just dustlies and men who don't care about their education. So again, high value men, educated men, ELs, whatever, they're only brought up when it comes to fixing the problem. Outside of that, they don't exist. So they're brought up, you didn't fix this problem, so shut up, and then they go right back to making Ray Ray and Pookie arguments.
In this world, whether the men are willing and able to help you do it or not. They blame you for surviving without them, but you're not allowed to ask them to provide for you, as if most of them could. They're fine with you being a working woman, but they blame you for not making it look prettier. They blame you for your attitude.
What did she just say? Let me back it up a little bit.
They earn, but you still have to survive living in this world, whether the men are willing and able to help you do it or not. They blame you for surviving without them, but you're not allowed to ask them to provide for you, as if most of them could. They're fine.
Did she not just get finished saying that the black men make more money than black women? Did she not? Am I missing something? I mean, help me to understand, am I missing something? She just got finished talking about black men making more money than black women. Like, make it make sense, bro. Like, make it make sense.
You being a working woman, but they blame you for not making it look prettier. They blame you for your attitude, and they don't care that you live in rough neighborhoods because they blame you for the crime rates because you birthed the criminals. They blame you for going into debt, getting degrees like sociology or psychology that they say are useless because the Black community doesn't need social workers or therapists. And of course, they refuse to.
No, the Black community definitely needs social workers and therapists. The issue is that with all the shit that Black women talk about, we don't do nothing but build. That doesn't build anything. That's a band-aid on a hemorrhaging wound. Those type of jobs and careers. I was just arguing with a sister the other day. We were talking about a Pew Research. She sent me a Pew Research study thing. I'll put it in the description box. And it was talking about Black women in STEM. And again, there was another situation where, yes, Black men are at the bottom of incomes when it comes to all men, but they made more. It was like something like $69,000 a year, and then Black women were like $57,000 a year. But anyway, 10% of, I think it was like 10% of Black people are in STEM. 10%. No, it's not 10% of Black people. Black people make up 10% of the STEM jobs. Okay, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. By contrast, white people are like 74%. The other thing is that the majority of the STEM jobs that Black people have are in healthcare. Right? So right off top, I already knew what the problem was with the skewing of this damn Pew Research. The vast majority of that, where they go, oh, well, there's more Black women in STEM than there are Black men. No, there's more Black nurses. And then when it talked about the student populations between Black men and Black women, when it came to getting their doctorate and professional degrees, physical therapists, people with doctorates and what was that, PhDs, right? They were about 50-50 for the terminal degrees. But when it came to the other degrees, I already knew, like, it didn't break it down enough, but like one of the areas where Black people are not in STEM, especially Black women, are in the life sciences. That would be things like biochemistry, microbiology, what else? There's another life science, these sort of hard sciences. And then you have math and engineering and computer science and stuff like that. That's where Black women are not. But the way that the Pew Research did the study, it was almost like the article, the whole research was kind of geared to talk about how great Black women were doing relative to Black men. And all these women were nurses. So of the 10% of all Black people that are in STEM, right, the majority, we have, disproportionate number of Black women who are actually graduating. They didn't actually give the number of the people who are, like, the gender breakdown of people, like, actually in the workforce, but it was more talking about like the coming graduates, right? And mind you, like, less people are going to college now. Like white people in STEM programs went from like 67% in 2010 to like now it's like 62%. You can go, I'll put the link in the description box. I thought the whole thing was very interesting, but again, it just, the way that they put these numbers out and they put this information out, it would have, because they got it all in bold. You should see it. It's all in bold. The Black women are doing better than Black men. I'm like, yeah, because again, what consists of nurses? It's all women. I mean, hell, if a man's a nurse, he gets put down. He's called a nurse. So right off top, I'm like, yeah, you got a lot of women that are doing nursing, and they're putting that in the category of STEM. STEM represents science, technology, engineering, and math. And so, yeah, I mean, is nursing, do you have to know science in order, biology and shit in order to be nursing? That was one of the life sciences, biology. Do you have to be know about the human body and science? Yeah, absolutely. But the areas where Black people aren't, are, and especially Black women aren't, life sciences, math, a physicist, engineers, these sorts of areas, computer scientists. those areas. But the whole thing just kind of ignored that and was like, yeah, there's more black women, in life science, in not the life sciences, in the friggin' sciences than there are, the STEM than there are men. Talking about the college and whatnot, but just it didn't break it down fully, or kind of overlook the breakdown. But anyway, I forget why I brought that up. Oh yeah, because I'm looking at this, her talking about we need more sociologists and stuff like that. And again, that doesn't maintain the community. All I'm saying is, with all the awesomeness that black women, talk about, and again, there's a whole bunch of women, look at these women that go off, you know, God rest her soul. I don't want to talk badly or ill of her, but Aisha K. Faines. Aisha K. Faines went to Yale and had a degree in, what was it? I think it was Eastern civilizations. Right? That's what she had a degree. It was like literature in Eastern civilizations or something like that. For Harriet has a degree in African American studies. And both of these women had to come online on YouTube in order to make their money, having just ungodly amounts of college and university debt. They couldn't go out into the real world and get a real job. So again, you got a lot of people out here, especially women, that they brag about their degrees and all this other stuff, that this whole fantasy, this whole college industrial complex of go to college and get a degree and get your education, girl, and everything. And a lot of these women are out here majoring in bullshit that does not equate to being gainfully employed. Again, one of the primary reasons as why the male numbers on college are going down for all groups. Because they're like, man, and again, going back to Mike Rao a couple of years ago with his Dirty Jobs TED Talk, talking about, look, you don't got to go to college to make, 6 figures. Look, we need some welders. We need carpenters. We need people. We need some steel welders. Blah, blah, blah. Go through the apprenticeship. You can make X amount of dollars. You know what I mean? There's police officers in the burbs that are making $200K. I know that as a fact. You see what I'm saying? A lot of them, they want you to look down on these careers because they don't want people to know what type of money that they're making. But anyway, I'm just saying there's a lot of delusion that a lot of these sisters have when they run around and talk about how educated they are, how many degrees they are. Just the same as there's a lot of delusion when it comes to, them wanting to talk about their careers and their businesses that have no employees. And again, why are your sons out here why aren't they working for you, boss bitch? Why aren't they working for you? Why don't you give them a job? Pay your son $15 an hour. Then maybe he wouldn't be out there in the streets selling drugs and everything. Oh, that's right. Most of y'all can't do that. So again, where do we get these narratives that black women are out here just killing it, to the nth degree? Like, where does this come from? All it does is contribute to a lot of the delusion.
Degrees for themselves. No matter what you do, black men are going to blame you for this community's past, present, and future dysfunction. Interesting, no other community sees this the same way.
I can't tell you how often it is that these black women are left holding the fucking bag. They are the strongest thing in these neighborhoods.
Then you want to get mad when a black woman doesn't want to put up with your shit. And they make you level up. They make you better. Like, they're so solid. They be holding people down that they care for. 10 toes down.
All of this
And this was so funny about because one of the guys, he's one of these attorney guys. He's the guy that does the reviews for the rap video. And it's like the suspect, the agent shit that goes on when white folks come through. And they're like, oh, and the black women, you all are holding it down. You all are so great. You all are so wonderful. We see it. And this is the same population that perpetuates, Lord Jesus, there's a fire, Sweet Betty Brown, and ratchets and everything else that's negative about the black woman, loudmouth, attitude, everything else. But they're going to praise you about the shit. But we don't want nothing to do with y'all, but y'all going to swirl it up with the same population of people. Like, that's what, like how she overlooks this type of shit, I have no clue. You know, they've been singing black women's "You All Are Strong, Independent, Killing It" and everything else praises since forever. Oh, we don't want to fuck with you. No. You know, I mean, this goes all the way back to the Patrick Moynihan report. They've been pushing these ideas forever of the strong, non-feminine black woman. Oh, it's so great to be this. And y'all love it. Y'all think it's good that you're being looked at like that, which again, I think it's a farce, but I'm saying you're being looked at like that, again, until you recognize that with that comes the ideas of the lack of femininity and everything else. And again, notice we're still talking about dusties. We're still talking about, uplifting men to make them better men. Why are you fucking with these guys? You should be avoiding dusties like the plague. You should be avoiding men that don't have it together like the plague. Why are we still talking about dusties? You see? See, the women, they do not want to take accountability for the men that they birth. And the men that they birth, the men that they birthed with. Or the men that how do I want to say that? The accountability for the men that they birthed and the men that they had the baby with that they birthed. They don't want to take accountability for none of that. So not the choices for the man and not the choices for how the child turns out. It's like, yo, if there was like a pussy moratorium, a lot of this shit would come to a stop. No black woman can stare me in the face and say that these women need to be having the babies that they're having with these men. But their approach is, we need to stop having black boys, as though the girls fare off any goddamn better. You know what I mean? And then to suggest that all of your daughters are going to go over the fence. You know what I mean? Like none of this shit is well thought out. Oh yes. I will abort all boys and I will only have black daughters. Ah yes, contributing to even furthering the gap between black boys and black women. Like, why not just have no children at all? That would, to me, would be a better approach. If you can't find the right man, don't have any children. If you want to hop the fence, you want to hop the fence. Go ahead and hop the fence and operate like that. But understand, every decision other than black men and black women coming together and forming Voltron and getting over this shit is not going to be anything that's beneficial to the black community. If anything, it's like the shit that's going on in China, where you got way more men than you got women because of the one woman China policy. So you're going to have way more women and way fewer men. And all that's going to facilitate is what? More men to be more misogynistic, or to engage in polygamy, or to go out here and argue that they don't have to change because the odds are in their favor like they already are. Stupid. But you just assume that all of your daughters not only will want other races of men, that they won't be attracted to black men. Like, you just assume that without any conversation about the media that currently exists changing, and in the way that it promotes black men as sexual objects and promotes black women as the rock and the foundation. And notice, it's like black women, they love being given that title, but then they don't realize how much it strips them of their femininity. So it's like, in one part they want to play that position, and in another part they don't want to play that position.
Disguised as accountability. And why is that? Why are black men all of a sudden so hell-bent on pointing the finger at you? Because if they weren't, then we would be focused on them and they would have to answer some tough questions. Like, while the single moms who got knocked up by Pookie and Ray Ray were raising all of these children alone, what were the good black men doing with all of that extra time on their hands?
See, so I didn't get you pregnant, but I got nothing but free time, right? Because, instead of me, again, she's arguing this from the perspective of the women that we're getting with the Dusties now, right? Even though she's not in that category. So where were all the good men? You all were twiddling your thumbs with all these women that had all these kids by other men that, again, we have an animosity towards, and there's a back and forth across, with the Ray Rays and Pookies versus the ELs. Think about that. We're only being called upon to be the cleanup men. Come in here and clean up, right? And then go back to the closet from which you came, right? Power down and go back into the closet. Because we really don't want you. You're not who we're attracted to. We just want you to come in here, bzz, the beehive again. We want you to come in here as a drone, clean this up, and as long as we can get you to do that, and then we can fuck the Ray Rays and Pookies that we lust and desire, then everything would be good. Everything would be good. And I'm like, that's not how patriarchy works. That's not how a community works. The women have to participate with the men that are actually the builders. Or at the very least, if you want to say, well, we got to start somewhere, okay, we'll start with the motherfucker that actually has the skill set to build some shit. You don't go out here having a baby by some nigga that ain't got shit going on. And then now you expect the other guy to come through and somehow, swoosh through and knock everybody over with his cape. Like, these women are out of their minds.
They build. While the overweight women were getting all of those useless degrees, what were the men doing with that time? What did they build? While the women with bad attitude,
they're living in the suburbs, living a comfortable lifestyle, enjoying life. Oh, yeah, kind of like all the same shit that all these hypergamous women are fucking doing, enjoying their lifestyles, going on vacations they're enjoying their fucking life. They're not focused on, the community. For what? For what? To fight with a bunch of women that A, don't want them, B, don't have any respect for them, C, obviously desire some other motherfucker that doesn't have their discipline, that doesn't have anything going on, but you expect them to come through and clean up the mess that you and another person made? Like, get real.
starting businesses and getting into corporate America, what were the men doing with that time? Blame has been a very useful.
I don't even know what she's talking about at this point. So the women were getting into corporate America and starting businesses like she's claiming, but the so-called good black men, the ELs and the men that disproportionately have the resources and went to college and all that other shit, they weren't doing pretty much the exact same thing, getting into corporate America, starting businesses. Again, where do you think fucking Portia Williams comes from? Where the fuck do you think she comes from? All these bougie ass black families in Atlanta and shit. I swear, the jumping back and forth between populations to make a talking point or argument, it's so irritating. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not saying that ELs are perfect. The so-called good black men are perfect. Obviously, they have shit to work on. But why don't you narrowly focus on that and at the very least give them credit for the other things that they've accomplished? But no, she has to make it like all black men are problem. If you're dusty, your issue is you're dusty. If you got resources, your issue is you're not coming into the community to help clean up another man's mess. So you get no respect. I'm like, this is insane.
Tool for black men because it shifts the focus to your unappreciated actions instead of black men's complete inaction. And why should they do anything for you anyway? History shows that if they don't raise the children, then you will. If they don't provide, then...
See, again, now we're back to Dusties. If they don't raise the children, you will. Who are you asking to raise the children? I guess we're obviously not talking about the men that you didn't have the children with. We must be back to Dusties again. You do see how she flip-flops between Dusties and ELs and puts them all underneath the same umbrella, all underneath the same category. No decent black men, no established black men, none of them exist. Until, of course, we get to some conversation about which black men are dating outside the race the most and whatnot. And again, even in that argument, they'll try to act like all the ones they see, like Cynthia G does, all the black men they see that are out here dating outside the race are all dusty and they're all with fat white women, which they go together because dusty men get fat white women and those same dusty black men date fat black women. But then when it comes to all the black men that they see all over the place that are with, quality looking other races of women, they want to act like they don't see that. And the only time they'll speak on them is when, a divorce happens or a fight or something like that. Then they'll be like, I told you to leave these white bitches alone. Then they'll be in the comment section saying that shit. That's the only time. When the relationship crumbles and falls apart, then they're going to pounce on it. But any other time, no. Every single black man out here that's with a white woman is with a fat white woman, and he's dusty. We're not going to talk about the dudes that got money that really make us mad and get underneath our skin and irritate the hell out. We're not going to talk about them because we don't want to talk about them. We're just going to talk about the dusty. So again, that's what I'm saying. This whole piece, this whole video is just back and forth between dusty and good black men. And again, the so-called good black men, the black men with resources and all that the ELs, they're only brought up for cleanup duties. That's the only time they're brought up. Responsibility in a vacuum.
Will, and if you fall short in any way, then they can just blame you. Blame has become a cheap parlor trick for the dusties of the internet, and you're falling for it. That's why tweets like this go viral. We rejected men who were going to make us wives for guys who made us single mothers. Men are not trash, but our taste for men is trash. We are sorry. So apologizing to one group of men who did nothing for you for the actions of another group of men who abandoned their children, absolving...
Notice the entitlement. The men that did nothing for you, the men that you didn't fuck with. It's like she's saying that like these men that did nothing for them owe them, like they're supposed to do something for them when they're with another man. How does that make sense?
Supposed leaders of the community and indicting yourself.
Like what do? I see a black woman, who's with some black man, and I go knock on her door, and then I say, oh, here's the groceries that are supposed to be his job, and I just saw you walking down the street, and I recognize that I need to do for a black woman, even though she's sleeping with this other motherfucker. This is the whole problem that men have with the whole divorce situation, where you get a man, he goes off, he divorces a woman, he's making more money, you know what I mean? And then he's paying for a house, and she's bringing in some dude into the house to fuck her that can't even afford the house that she's now sleeping with the dude in. I mean, you want to talk about just, and then again, you wonder why some of that violence towards women happens and shit. Y'all just be acting like, ass whoopings and shit just comes out of the void and shit like that. You know what I mean? Just like that girl getting stomped on. You know what I mean? Nothing comes out of the void. Nothing comes out of the void. Ass whoopings like that don't happen out of just the void, just out of nothingness. There's always something that happens prior to that. Some foul shit that popped off, or some that pissed somebody off, or somebody that offended somebody. And again, I'm not saying that the response is always, fair and equal. You know what I mean? Or, what do you want to call it? Not fair and equal, but, just it's like sometimes the response is overkill. But to act like there's never anything that sets somebody off is bullshit. That's bullshit.
Or understanding of accountability, and you wonder why you're on the bottom. Where is your self-respect? If you still need to understand the difference between accountability and blame, imagine you need to run errands in a neighborhood that you know isn't safe. You have to park your car, and you know there's a chance that it could be stolen.
Notice how she uses the word know. You're aware, right? And this goes back to the whole allowing terrorists on the plane. Right? Imagine if you went through the airport and they didn't do any screening, no metal detectors, no TSA agents, nothing. Right? And the terrorist gets on the plane, screams Allahu Akbar, blows the plane up. You're on it. You died too. Who are you going to be? Who are you going to be looking at? You're going to be looking at TSA. You're going to be looking at the airline. Right? That's what you're going to be looking at. Or actually, no, the TSA is not there. So you're going to be looking at the airline. Why didn't you have security? So you mean to tell me just no security? These are the type of people who leave their cars unlocked. You know what I mean? You ever see these people with the ring and shit like that, or the security cameras over their garage, and then you get these kids with hoodies that walk up and just open the door and take everything out of the car, take their wallet and license and all this other shit. Like, why are you leaving your car unlocked? Like there becomes a point where it's like, like you're being stupid. Like, we can argue, well, they shouldn't do that. Yeah, you're right. They shouldn't do that. That's wrong. But you still take the necessary precautions. And see, this leads me into a further conversation about, I don't want to, dive too deep into it, but this is what I talk about when I talk about the Second Amendment. It's like, no, we're not saying that obviously if a criminal tries to rob me on the street, right? And they shoot me and I die, right? That's the criminal's bad act. The criminal is the bad actor in that situation, right? But if I go out here and I'm carrying my CCW and the criminal tries to shoot me and I shoot back and I kill the criminal, right? And this is the liberal mindset that a lot of women have, right? Now all of a sudden, the criminal becomes the victim, and I'm in trouble because I shouldn't be walking around with a dangerous loaded firearm. That's what the liberal media does. I'm like, yo, this motherfucker tried to rob me, and you trying to make it about me. But see, the difference is I took it upon myself to protect myself, even though the criminal broke the law. You know what I mean? Like what is the law? The law is what? A piece of paper that says, oh, you shouldn't do this. You wag your finger, you shouldn't do this. Like what? Like I don't understand women who think like this. Like, well, okay, all right, the motherfucker in front of you, he's like, bitch, give me your purse. He's got a gun. What are you gonna do? Use harsh language? We can tell him that he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. You know what I mean? You'll hold a piece of paper up and say, do you know that this is against the law? You know what I mean? It's like in the middle of getting robbed, and all of a sudden you start pointing out about, wait a minute, this is New York. Does that gun have more than 10 rounds? Do you know that gun has more than... Do you think he gives a fuck in the act of robbing you if he's already got the gun possessed illegally? He's already pointing it at you in your face illegally. Do you think he gives a fuck about a fucking 10-round magazine? No, the fuck he doesn't. So again, why don't you take it upon yourself to protect yourself? But see, this is a very, listening to her, she probably is from New York. To be quite honest, she's probably from New York, because this is a New York mentality. He shouldn't be doing that. I'm like, why don't you vote to get these damn Democrats out of office and argue that you want to have the right to carry? The Republicans are offering that, and you say, we're going to put some Republicans in here because we want to have concealed carry so that we can protect ourselves in the event some fucked up shit happens. But see, this is what I mean by these women not believing in consequences. They don't believe in consequences. Now, granted, it's not her fault that somebody tried to rob her, but I'm saying it's like how the Second Amendment views it. Yeah, the criminal's bad and everything else like that, but they take care of what they can take care of. They can't stop the actions of another person. I can't stop another person from attempting to rob me, but I'll tell you what I can do. I can take it upon myself to control what I can control, and that is to protect myself with a firearm. In the event somebody tries to rob me, I can defend myself to the best of my ability. Maybe I win, maybe I lose. It all depends. But I fought back. You know what I'm saying? I went down spitting in their eye. I didn't just lay down and grovel and go, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. That, to me, that's not a plan. And that's part of the problem with the whole mental orientation of a lot of black women out here. You all go out here with they shouldn't do that, but you don't have a plan for in the event of if they do. You don't have a plan. And then you get the extreme, the women that go the extreme route, which is, yes, my plan is to make sure that I'm strong and independent, and you create so many walls that nobody wants to deal with you. Because you don't have discernment. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, if I'm going to protect myself with a firearm, I'm going to go get a CCW, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to protect myself with a pistol. You know what I mean? Self-defense to me does not mean I walk out of my house, even though, we could argue open carry with a rifle and everything. But that's not convenient for me. I'm not going to walk out everywhere I go. I got a bulletproof vest on and I'm walking around with my AR-15. That's overkill. Nah, give me a freaking, a gun with, 15 rounds at least in a non-restrictive state. I'm Gucci. I'm good. I shouldn't even use the word Gucci because they're racist. But I'm saying I'm good. You know what I'm saying? That's all the people are asking you to do. Like y'all out here, HIV is high in such and such a state. Here's a condom. Keep a condom in your purse. This is mahogany pink. Well, that's not my responsibility. If he doesn't want to have children, well, then he needs to be the one that brings the condom and not give me. I'm like, that is so dumb. That's dumb, chick. Dumb. Why are you having sex? First of all, why are you having sex with a dude that doesn't initiate putting the condom on first? Shit, that should tell you a lot about the type of dude. He just ready to run up in you in raw. You should be saying to yourself, how many other bitches have you ran up in raw? You know what I mean? But I'm saying if he just that fine and you want to get with him, okay, well, hand him a condom and say, okay, if you want these goodies, my goodies. You know what I mean? Like, if you want these goodies, you know what I'm saying? Then you got to put this condom on. And if he says no, then that's not the type of nigga that you need to be dealing with. But, again, she's just focused on, well, it's their fault because they did evil. I'm like, did you avoid it? Notice what she said again. She said, you're in a bad area. Okay, so why are you in a bad area? Why are you parking in an isolated, dark, bad area? Why? I don't do that. Shit. I mean, the fucking club scene is dead in Philly, but I don't even fucking fuck with Philly like that no more. It's too much gunplay. And SWP is not for play. Okay, I don't play that shit. So I don't fuck with it. I avoid it. I don't sit there, it's my right to be in downtown Philadelphia. Man, fuck that. It ain't worth it.
Accountability for keeping your car safe would be locking the door, maybe putting a club on the steering wheel. Let's say you didn't do those things and your car was stolen. Accountability would be filing a police report, calling insurance, etc., etc. But who would be to blame? Blackistan would blame you. You should have known better. Not locking your doors would be asking to get your car stolen. Even if you did lock your doors, you shouldn't have parked in that neighborhood. You shouldn't have come on that night. Somehow you would be responsible for the wrong that took place. But the law would put the blame on the car thief because they are the actual wrongdoer.
Correct. But what you did wasn't smart. Whether you want to say it's blame or not, what you did wasn't smart. Leaving your car unlocked is not smart. Leaving your car in a high crime area, in a dimly lit area, is not smart. You know what I'm saying? Are you so focused on blame that you're going to go out here and do dumb shit because, it's your right to do dumb shit? I mean, she's basically saying that black women are not smart about what they do.
And there is a reason why no matter if you locked your door or not, if you put a club on your steering wheel or not, or bought a LoJack or not, the person who stole your car will always be the person that the law will hold responsible. Because when a society ensures that a wrongdoer is forced to take the blame for their wrongdoing...
Blame, you can say blame, but what the law is doing, right? Because the law doesn't care about you as the victim. The law, the institution, the state, the government cares about its laws being broken. So that's why the government punishes the law. If your car gets stolen, the state doesn't reimburse you. You know what I'm saying? If the criminal doesn't have anything, the state most certainly is not going to reimburse you. If somebody who has steals from you, and then possibly you could be reimbursed, but most of the time they don't have. But the state cares about punishing those that committed the crime because crime has consequences to it. And the issue that I'm trying to drive home here is that you have black women out here that act like when they do make decisions, that their decisions shouldn't have consequences. You see, like, again, You know, who feels bad for PJ Washington? Seriously speaking. Who feels bad? Where are the black men out here with capes for PJ Washington? I haven't seen them. Black men are like, nigga, now you should have known, my nigga. You should have known. A black man can't go out here and get with, some community thought and have her baby and then be mad because you see this, the chick, she's for the streets, and the dude gets her pregnant, and then he's got a chick that's for the streets. She's still out there fucking other people, and then he, gets in a rage and goes and commits a murder-suicide. That goes on. You know what I mean? But there's other men that are looking at the whole situation like, man, you should have known better. Men hold men accountable when it comes to that shit. You can't play. There's no playing victim with men like there is playing with women. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, nigga, you been grown, man. Brittany Renner, man, she done posted all type of nigga. She done post all this shit on social media. I get with athletes because athletes are easy to get if you want to get the bag, girl, because they don't use condoms. Like, nigga, like you didn't do any homework on this bitch? Like you didn't look at this shit up? Nothing? You didn't do any of that. You know what I mean? And so like this is why, this is how men look at it. If a man goes out here and gets with a stripper and then she ends up sleeping with somebody else or whatever, like brothers will look at you and be like, nigga, you should have known she was for the streets. And there's niggas out here that are for the streets. But again, you all will go out there and have his baby. Unlike other races of women that know that they're just for play. They're just for fun. So, I don't understand the logic or the complete lack of it. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? Criminals are being held, they're being held, accountable, and there's consequences for what they did. There's consequences for robbing and stealing. There's consequences for this shit. And when you go out here and make these life-altering decisions, there's consequences for that. That's why these decisions are important. Because of the consequences, because of the outcomes.
Is order. But if the wronged can be held responsible for the wrongdoer's actions, that society will devolve into chaos because men will feel like they can get away with anything and blame it on.
If the wrong, let me go back and listen to that.
Wronged can be held responsible for the wrongdoer's actions, that society will devolve into chaos because
that's what I just said. I just said that about the damn like liberal ass gun laws and shit. You get somebody who goes on a train because they're, they live in a high crime area and they're carrying a gun illegally, which is a crime, and then they protect themselves with that gun. New York will throw them underneath the jail and say that they had an unlawful possession of a weapon even though that they were attacked. I agree that's a problem in the thinking, but the issue that I have, why don't you recognize that no matter what, high crime area, danger area, like you don't live in this perfect world where you can guarantee that everybody's going to do the right thing. You do have to protect yourself, and in protecting yourself is making appropriate choices, especially when it comes to who you have a baby by. Again, there's a lot of people, they can get away with a lot of stuff. They can engage in a lot of risky and dangerous behavior and be perfectly fine. But the baby part, I can't give y'all that. I can't give you to having babies with the wrong dudes. Because most of the time, there's plenty of red flags that highlight the fact that these dudes should not be allowed to be fathers. They should not be given immortality, but you do it anyway.
Will feel like they can get away with anything and blame it on the victim. And that is what is happening in Blackistan. It's not a community, it's a critocracy. Warlord rule, where might makes right. A code of ethics that says that the strong can prey on the vulnerable, and if you allow it to happen, then you deserve what you get. And you go right along with it. Like a battered woman in an abusive relationship, you believe that when someone hurts you, somehow you caused it to happen. It seems as though the community believes that the missing key to ending the dysfunction is Black women being held accountable. So be accountable. If the complaint is that...
When have black women been held accountable? Just asking the question. When have black women ever been held accountable? What I see black women suffering the consequences of many of their decisions. That's what I see. But when have they seriously been held accountable? When has anybody said, I mean, nobody can say to me they actually agree with the idea of all these women going out here and having babies with multiple people. Nobody can tell me that they agree with that. Or having babies, just babies with men that they shouldn't have babies with. So when have black women been held accountable? Just give me an example of how, where black women have been held accountable at all.
Women are having children with absentee fathers, and all of these fathers are black men. Stop having children with black men. If the complaint is that black women are raising these boys to be thugs and criminals, don't raise boys. Reconsider having them. If the complaint is that the girls have a bad attitude, don't raise them in a rough neighborhood. You need to move. If the complaint is that these girls are supposed to be looking for a husband to take care of them in college instead of putting off motherhood for a career in a hot girl summer, don't send them to an HBCU where they're going to outnumber the men almost 3-1, and their chances of finding a quality relationship tanks. If men are not responsible for getting swept up in the prison industrial complex, but you are responsible if supporting these men ruins your lives, and you'll be thrown to the...
Why would you not send them to an HBCU? Like, I'm trying to figure that one out. Like, I know there's college shit that goes on with college shit, and everybody's just all sexually open in college, and there's an aspect of it that people would argue isn't the greatest in place to find an environment. But I know plenty of black couples that met in college and are still together to this day. I mean, they literally got married shortly after college. So I'm like, I'm not seeing where that's the worst place to find a black man for marriage. You would think that college would be the first place to find a black man. Like, to me, like, this chick is just anti-black. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, she's just anti-black, swirl it up, get you a white man and everything. Like, I don't know any other way to describe it. Don't go to an HBCU. The guy to girl ratio, I don't know what it is at HBCU, but the guy to girl ratio, it's damn near as close in the white community. Because again, white men are not going to college like that. When you want to talk about other races, anyway.
Wolves, then don't support black men in prison. Don't entertain black men who have a criminal record for any reason under any circumstances. In fact, do not uphold any code about no snitching. Clean up the trash in your neighborhoods. The prisons might be filled with black men, but the crime rate is at a record high, so maybe not enough of them have been put away. Don't entertain or marry men who can't afford to pay for a wife and children to live in a safe neighborhood. And if you can't find one, then don't have children. No work with a brother, no hold a brother down, no help a brother out, no nothing. Accountability is the total removal of your presence and your support, because if you truly are the cause of all of this community's problems, then your departure will only make it better. Because if there's one thing that I
see, like, notice the extreme bullshit. Like, why don't you just follow the list that you just gave? All that we need your departure. Hey, if you want to leave. I'm not twisting your arm or anything, but I'm saying, like, you see, everything that she listed is essentially accountability. All the stuff that she listed that I just agreed to is accountability. And notice the disdain for them even having to do that, which is what they should be doing by default. Right? Like, and I'm saying everything that she said is essentially them avoiding men that don't measure up. And I'm like, isn't that what we've been saying since I came online? Haven't we been saying that? You know what I mean? Like, that should be your starting point. Don't go out here and get with a man that doesn't measure up. But then she immediately follows it up with, well, then maybe we should just leave the community altogether. I'm like, God, this bitch is so fucking extreme. For real? So you can't, so you're not even going to try, can we get 5 years of the list that you just gave? Just give us 5 years. Just give us 5 years of every black woman participating in that list that you just gave. And let's just see how things turn out. That's all I'm saying. Right? Before we get to, I'm going to leave. Okay, hey, you are free to go. Ain't nobody holding you here. You are free to go. You are not being detained. I'm just saying, can we try out that list before you go? Because I just want to see how the results turn out. Can we try out that list of everything that you said, which ultimately comes down to don't deal with dusties and men that can't provide and shit and leave the felons alone? I mean, damn, that sure as shit sounds like me. That sure as shit sounds like everything that I've been saying for the last, 15 fucking years.
You all to take away from this channel. It's that if someone doesn't appreciate what you do for them, the last thing you should be thinking about is how you can do more of it. And in a nation with ever increasing income inequality.
And see, that's the whole thing. Like, again, when I talked about that trying to negotiate love with dusties, going out here and, oh, I did this for you. Oh, I did that for you. A lot of these women do not like high value men or men with resources, primarily because there's no way for them to come in and create that sort of IOU. They want to be pampered. They want to be taken care of. But I've been called out this IOU that I feel like a lot of black women want to create before they get pampered. You know what I mean? They want to catch you, right before you cross the finish line, right? You got 5% left before you cross the finish. They want to catch you right at that last minute. And then not only catch you right at that last minute, they want to catch you at that last minute and then do like what sisters was saying when Michelle Obama was at the law firm before Barack got there. And man, the way that this brother went to Harvard and Columbia, and the way that black women were trying to claim that he what did they try to claim? They tried to claim that Michelle built him up and everything. I'm like, y'all keep trying to create that IOU, even when the dude is on, even when he's already there. And I've already talked about this whole aspect of they don't like the feeling of coming into a situation and not really having anything to, contribute. Because then they start having to analyze themselves like, well, damn, what am I bringing to the table? What am I offering? Shit, I guess I'm not as black girl magic as I thought I was. Shit, how's this brother here and there? Because, they feed into all of the, the white supremacist narratives of black men ain't nothing and they ain't never had nothing. And black women, you're just doing better than the black man. And the black man is just so beneath you. Right. And so when they come across a black man that's actually kicking ass, it's like their brains short circuit and shit. You know what I mean? Like they can't handle it. So they don't let these women fool you. They love dusties. They need dusties. Dusties are, it is the way. Dusties are the way. Okay, because they can create those IOUs, they can create the shaming tactics and all that. And when it comes to the ELs and the good black men, so to speak, and all that other shit, no, what they try to do is say, oh, well, you haven't fixed this problem. That's the shaming tactic that they use. So you're not deserving of leadership and you're not deserving of that because you haven't handled all the problems of Blackistan that we've intimately been interwoven in. You know what I'm saying? That we have significantly participated in and contributed to. Because at the end of the day, they don't want to follow any man. They need a black man that's crippled enough to where, they can get their claws into him and they can leverage the situation and stuff like that. And that's what a lot of these women do. And these bougie black women, they don't want to acknowledge that. And some of them are like fake boozy. Some of them are they just know how to code switch. But I mean, this is the reality. And I've Cap and I, we've had conversations about this. We've gotten heated arguments about this. And there's times where I'm like, all right, yeah, but men should be doing X, Y, and Z. But then there's other times where I point out to him that I'm like, nah, like this is intentional. This was done intentionally. And I know it looks crazy. It's like, who would do this intentionally? That's what you say to yourself. You're like, who would actually do this intentionally? But like I told you, that 60-year-old black woman from years ago, I don't mind allowing a man to believe that he's in control. Just completely ignoring. I'm like, okay, well, if he believes he's in control, but you recognize that he's actually not, I'm like, how are your sons faring? Because how would they know anything about really being in control and to be able to challenge and compete against other races of men if they can't even get that example from their own father? How would they know if their father is running around like the emperor's new clothes? How would they know? Right? I keep hearing that Instagram. How would they know? How would they know? They're going to know, right? I just keep hearing that in the back of my mind. But yeah, how would they know? You know? But anyway, this video is long enough. I'm done. I'll let her finish off. Oh.
Can't afford them, but when they go
let me back it up.
all of this community's problems, then your departure will only make it better. Because if there's one thing that I want you all to take away from this channel, it's that if someone doesn't appreciate what you do for them, the last thing you should be thinking about is how you can do more of it. And in a nation with ever-increasing income inequality, women of all races are lowering their standards to meet the men who can't afford them. But when they go low, Black women, you need to go high, because you can't afford to make those kinds of mistakes, lest you be blamed for the consequences. And the future belongs to the women who prepare for it right now. I'm Mahogany Pink. I teach Black women the shadow sides of Black men and themselves. Join my email list if you haven't already. This season's seminar list drops today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, see, seminars and all that, gotta make my money, gotta make the bread. This is what I'm selling to this population of bitter women who embrace this message because shit isn't working out for them a lot of times because they're either too old, already had kids, or not attractive enough for the high value and high caliber men that they want, or don't have any of the behaviors of femininity that these men want, or just hate patriarchy and are upset about the fact that they would have to negotiate with a man for resources in order to participate in patriarchy, which is something that they don't want to do. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out.